What is up, homies? Welcome back to a review from Heroes Reforged. We are going to be talking about Predator Badlands. This is a non-spoiler review. We're not going to ruin anything. The movie's just barely coming out. But also, I want to mention that we will be having Dan Trachtenberg on the podcast on Monday, and we're going to talk about spoilies. Lots of spoilies. Dan gave us some really great insight and tidbits into not just the movie. We talked a little bit about physical media too. So for all of you who are curious, there's some fun stuff in there. I have now seen Predator Badlands 3 times.
I know. I'm jealous, dude.
Is that too much? Is that excessive?
No, I've seen it twice. I think I'm going to go at the time of this recording. It's Thursday. So I think tomorrow, Friday, when it's out, I'm going to go snag a 3D screening because I was also like, again, to remind the folks at home, I'm unemployed, but I was also like, I need to go get an oil change. Oh, you know what? While I'm out over there where I get my oil change, movie theater. So, ¿por no los dos? Leave my car at the Valvoline instant oil change. Like, I'll be back in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Also, last night when I saw it, I did a double feature of Prey and Predator Badlands. Because those movies are the length that they are, they're like around an hour, 30 hour, 40 minutes long. It is such a breeze of a double feature. Like, I don't know. Of course, I will watch one or the other independently, but I feel like if I'm going to introduce people to Dan Trachtenberg's Predator movies, I'm just going to double feature them because it's such a satisfying watch. And when you watch them back to back, there are so many similarities between the two, even down to like the way certain shots are composed and certain landscape shots are composed and the music that backs it. I was like, wow, there's a lot of similarities to a lot of this stuff. And it just feels like, it feels really good to have that consistency because everything that surrounds it is still like really strong storytelling.
Yes, I noticed that too, Adam. Like, if you're talking about the music, I mean, we can get into it with no spoilers, but
Sure.
Sarah Schachner did the score for Prey, and it's such a good score. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then also teamed with Benjamin Wellfish to do this. But I know that like some of that music from Sarah Schachner that I love from Prey feels like it is similarly in Predator Badlands. So yes, I agree with that.
And then we got to go to the premiere on Monday, which was cool. And Dan did his little intro, and he said something that James Cameron told him that I kind of kept in the back of my mind as we were watching the movie, because I was like, okay, I really enjoy this actor's work, like an incredible body of work. He was talking about Elle Fanning, and I know when he originally, I guess, maybe pitched the idea to James Cameron or whatever, they had talked about it when he was visiting the set of Avatar. He wasn't too sure about Predator Badlands, like the idea and the concept, but he saw it, and one of the things that he told Dan was that Elle Fanning gives a luminous performance, and I really loved her in A Complete Unknown, and obviously like a ton of other things that she's been in, Super 8 and all kinds of stuff throughout her career. And then I watched the movie and I was like, yeah, this movie so badly needed an Elle Fanning, but Elle Fanning wasn't necessarily the first person that I would have thought of because she gives such a great performance as Tessa and as Thia. So great in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It really helps anchor the performance.
She is such a great actor at a dramatic level. But what I love about this movie, I should have known because of the way that like we had seen Dan Trachtenberg and Elle Fanning, and then the amazing actor, and we're going to get to him, who plays the main Predator, Yautja, Dimitrius Schuster Koloamatangi. These two actors and their chemistry, we'll get to Dimitrius, but with Elle, all of the press was like, they're so funny. They're so charming. Elle is so damn charming. Elle is doing the lie detector test video with her sister. And like, it's just like, she's so funny and so charming. And Dan Trachtenberg had told, I think it was Josh Horowitz, who does his Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, that like part of the reason he hired Elle or like wanted to meet with her and then hire her for this film was because of her podcast that she did with him, because she came across as so cool and so nice and so funny. And I love a filmmaker that's like, it's the same with like James Gunn. It's like, look, I'm going to be spending years, maybe months working on this project. I'm going to be spending months going somewhere, maybe that's not home, maybe that's not near home, hanging out with people, like having to spend time with people to finish this film.
Yeah.
Why not people like and vibe with and you think are cool? And what I love about Badlands is that the dramatic performance is there for Elle Fanning, but it's also like such a great showcase for her comedic ability and her lightness and her just like bounciness and just her timing. Like she's so good at this. And I think it showcases that like she's a leading man. She is absolutely a leading person in she's a movie star. But like, damn, dude, put her in some comedies, put her in some romantic comedies, put her in some like slapstick comedies, some real zany stuff. She's so like, put her basically, I'm saying put her in a movie with Jack Black, and it's gonna be the funniest damn movie you've ever seen.
Yes,
So
I
that's what I love
totally
about this
agree.
performance. Yeah.
And like going into it, it was very interesting to sort of see some people talking about the movie, like their expectations going in. Some people were apprehensive, and I feel like for us,
Right.
for at least for me, like I had high expectations because we loved Prey when we watched it, loved Killer of Killers when we saw it at the Egyptian theater for the premiere. So I was going into it expecting something that I was going to love, and sometimes that's like that is a kind of a high bar, but it's set by whatever Dan had done before, and also 10 Cloverfield Lane was really great. So I was really hoping that I was going to walk out of the movie at least liking it, but I ended up really honestly loving this movie. And now
Yeah.
that I've seen it
Yeah.
3 times, I love seeing how the crowd reacts to the movie, because the crowd in all 3 screenings that we went to, or that I've been in, they've all clapped, laughed, and cheered at the moments that I think you should have those sort of responses. So that is so satisfying, especially now, us being in a world where folks are not necessarily like making theatrical experiences a priority, and seeing people go and have that much fun in a movie, it just feels like really satisfying as a movie lover and a theater lover.
I was comparing it to when we were watching it the first night, and I totally agree with everything you just said. I remember leaving the first night after the premiere and being like, that is such a perfect crowd pleaser of a movie.
Yeah.
And we want those kinds of movies, and we crave those kinds of movies. And these kinds of movies, a big genre sci-fi action blockbuster, should be that kind of movie. And I was
Hmm.
comparing it as we were watching it that first night to the most recent Tron movie, Tron Ares. And that's another movie that I'm like, I got a lot of expectations. Like, I love
Hmm.
Tron Legacy. Like, this franchise does mean maybe more to me than I think it would mean to other people. I mean, that movie
Sure.
came and went, and I feel like most people were like, franchise is dead. And I'm like the person who's bummed about it. I'm like, no, no,
Right.
no. Like, maybe we can figure out a Tron 4, and what can we do? And I read all those comic books, and I read novels, and I'm into Tron. And I remember watching that movie when we went to go see that same theater, same like premiere night experience. And the audience was almost waiting for a moment of levity, waiting for a
Mm.
moment of release, something funny to happen so that the audience can react collectively. We're
Right.
all there, and we're kind of experiencing this movie in Tron as it's unfolding. And then it isn't until a certain point where like a character comes in and says something kind of funny, and then the other character responds in kind of a funny, in a human way. And we finally
Hmm.
go, oh, okay, we needed that.
Yeah.
And I think that movies like that should be designed like that. And I think Badlands is the perfect combination of, it's a great story, and the story is
Hmm.
hitting all those beats already organically, but it is also a little bit genetically engineered to, when you're watching it with a big crowd, they will gasp, they will cheer, they will kind of hold their breath when like kind of an actiony thing is happening, and then as soon as it's over, the movie knows how to take a breath, take a beat. Okay, now the characters are relaxing a little bit, and then something genuinely and organically, not forced, but like
Hmm.
funny happens
Yeah.
between characters. It's not like of an insert joke. It's not like this movie went through a pass where like, hey, we need some comedians to punch this up.
Right.
It's all sort of character interactions, and then something happens, and the audience was like cracking up and then
Hmm.
applauding, and we would move from one of those moments to the next moment as the characters are like moving or something, and you would
Yeah.
still hear some people still chuckling about the scene before, and you're like, dude, we're all in it. We are on
Hmm.
this ride. Like, we love these characters. We really do love these characters. Deck as the main Yautja is
So good.
such an amazing protagonist, because you root for him from the get. And I want to talk about the performance. I want to talk about Dimitrius Schuster Koloamatangi, who puts in a performance that I think is, he's at the level for me of like a Doug Jones. Like, to
Yeah.
be able to do a
Truthfully.
performance through prosthetics with enhancements of CG. You said this to Dan on our interview. You were like, I couldn't tell when it was prosthetics that I was seeing or when it was like enhanced by CG, which
Hmm.
means that the effects were really good. And,
So good.
throughout the movie, I'm sure you and I could point to stuff throughout the movie that's like, oh, maybe this action sequence or maybe this big CG creature isn't the most convincing. Like we kind of know that it's CG, but everything to do with Deck, everything on that character, I was like, that's where they're spending the time. That's where they're animating it, spending the money. He puts in a performance from the beginning where, to not give anything away, but his storyline, I immediately like empathized with. I immediately sympathized with. I said, oh, dude, this guy, what the hell, man? And the moments where he gets angry and the moments where he is like thinking and contemplating, and then the moments where he's pissed as a predator and he wants to like kill something, like we're with him with each of those moments to, you know, to like, I haven't done this yet, but I mean, you talked about double feature watching it with Prey. And the other thing I love too about this trilogy of the Dan Trachtenberg, produced and directed Predator films, these 3 movies are my favorite Predator movies. Like, I think the original 1987 is great. I'm sure people watching it now will be like, no, that's still the best. Like, you're crazy. I'm like, look, I think it's great. And I think that we wouldn't be here without. And I think so many of these movies, including Badlands, know to sort of homage, and they know what's important about 87 Predator.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dan Trachtenberg
and Dan
understands why that
can.
movie, he knows why that movie is a stone cold classic. And the thing that I love about those 3 movies is that, like you were saying, you did a double feature between Prey and Badlands. Normally my brain would be like, that's interrupting the timeline. That doesn't make sense. But fortunately, Killer of Killers is also like, you can watch it after Badlands. And I think it all still works. But what I love about these 3 movies is that they add so much to the franchise that I haven't gone back and rewatched Prey yet. I haven't gone back and rewatched Killer of Killers or any of the other Predator films. Now I'm going to be watching 87 Predator and going like, well, what's this Yautja going through? What is his deal? Should I be rooting for him also, kind of? What's he trying to prove? Or is he an asshole? Because as we've learned, they can also just be flat out evil assholes. Like, that's cool too. You know, They can just be like, that's a bad dude. I don't like that guy. But you know, it's adding to, I think, in a way that, like, from the beginning, the Predator movies, they had that opportunity. They had, you know, when you look back at the original Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 film was human perspective, human protagonist experiencing this world. It's Charlton Heston. What is going on? This is insanity. But they still had ape characters, you know, human actors in the makeup, but ape characters that were like, you're sympathetic, you're kind of an asshole, you know, but you're like, okay, you can get where the human protagonist is coming from, and you can kind of agree with him and side with him, even if you're a part of this society. So when you get to the Andy Serkis Planet of the Apes reboot, it's not crazy for that whole idea to be like, we want this franchise, but from the ape's perspective. And can we have the most sympathetic ape be the one to kind of kick all of this off? And how does that happen? And how does the world end in this way? So I think it's not something that goes against the DNA of the idea, the franchise. Even Predator, 87 Predator, because that is a character, I think has an advantage, or at least not, I wouldn't say advantage, but like the uniqueness of it is that you can map onto that Predator. He had a personality. He laughed when he was about to kill Dutch. He started going, like, that's a personality. That's a culture. The xenomorph never has that. The xenomorph is a animal killing machine. You never watch from the first Alien movie to the most recent
bitch through and through, really.
That's it. You never go like, what's the queen's motivation? Like, it's just animal, which is awesome and terrifying. But that's what I love about Badlands, is that it knows that, and it goes, okay, let's explore that a little bit. Let's get in there. Let's get it. Let's crack that open a little bit with the mandibles. Let's see what we can add to this concept, and delivers, I think, such a great character that I'm like, I love Deck. I love Elle Fanning's characters as well, but like this Yautja is like this. I'm like, this is my dude. I love him so much. So anyway,
yeah, I agree. And I think also the thing, and I know Dan has talked about this also, is you can't just constantly rinse and repeat what has been done. You can't always just have Yautja comes to planet, not always Earth, but usually it involves human characters who are hunted, and then they have to try to survive. You know, it's a game of survival. That's all it is. It can work when you're establishing the thing, and you can get away with doing it once in a while, of course. But I think now, when Dan is trying to consistently put out Predator movies animated or live action. You know, you cannot just every other year come out with something that's doing the same thing. That's going to get boring really quick. And he recognizes that. I think everyone who's involved with those recognizes that. I think most audience members who just kind of understand anything about movie making will understand that as well, that you can't just do the same thing over and over and over. And I love where it takes, because you didn't have to do a story of a Yautja, right? Like, you could have done something else. You could have told it from the perspective of the Weyland-Yutani synthetics and then involved a predator and, you know, like build it out that way. But the fact that it is directly from the perspective of this Yautja character is unique, and it is fun, and it brings something new and different, and it makes you feel something different towards, if not Yautja culture or some of the Yautja altogether, then definitely this character. But I think even his brother Quay, you feel something for that character because that character also displays some kind of emotion and empathy. So it really is just expanding upon what little, truthfully, we know from these alien characters from the movies. Like, of course, you can go into the comic books, the expanded universe, you know, you can go back and forth and argue about whether or not it is or isn't canonical or whatever. But I think because Dan is also a fan of that stuff, he will incorporate the things that he is emotionally drawn to and that he thinks we will be emotionally drawn to. And I think that's where some of the best stuff is in the movie. And it's even just the subtleties. You know, you're talking about Dimitrius's performance, the subtleties of how he reacts to what certain characters say, and the emotion in the eyes. You know, like even the way his eyes move, and you can really feel like he's thinking, and he's having an emotional moment, and he feels loved or betrayed, or, you know, he feels hopeful or whatever. I love those nuances. I love all that stuff. There's so many moments throughout the movie. And also Quay has like one moment in the film where he has an emotional response because he knows something. And like, I saw that the first time at the premiere, and I was like, wow, they're really putting a lot of thought into making sure that the way that the actor is emoting is translated through the animation of whatever is added on in post-production. And that obviously is also like a huge compliment to the VFX artists who worked on this film, because that stuff really works, and it would be easy for it to not work or to not be translated well. You know, like we love Avatar, and I think Avatar, like a huge part of the success of that is that when Neytiri or Jake or whoever is emoting, you feel that emotion, you feel a connection. And I think that is so important when it comes to CG characters or any characters that have CG enhancements. It's very easy for that stuff, you know, like Tron Legacy. I'll try to be a little bit ahead of its time. And sometimes Clue looks a little dead in the eyes. And that technology has evolved to a point now where you get, like, not saying that I love it, but a Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian season 2, and it's Mark Hamill's face on top of an actor's face. They do get those nuances now. They're able to apply those nuances that you really feel it. And in this, there was several moments in this film where I was shocked at how emotional I was getting with what was happening on screen, because I could tie it to something in my life, or it was literally just a purely performance-based thing that I was like, wow, I'm really invested in this. And I not that I wasn't expecting it, but I think it just surprised me the level at which it really moved me sometimes emotionally.
I was also surprised by the emotion in this. I shouldn't have been. It's like, damn, dude, like Dan's been doing this. Like, if you watch Prey,
not his first rodeo.
He has it. Yeah, exactly, dude. It's not his first rodeo. He knows what he's doing. But the first Prey movie has the same emotions I get when I watch Nadu go through her journey. And like, again, talk about another protagonist that you just like, you want to like cuss and cheer for this character in Prey. When she does it, that's the feeling. And then 3 times with the sort of anthology storytelling in Predator, Killer of Killers, another film I love, one of my favorites this year, one of my favorite animated films this year.
So good.
Is to get that feeling. And then the way that all culminates in the end was also awesome. But this, same thing. I'm like, I should have known that this was going to happen. I think that I was excited about the action and excited about the lore from the Yautja perspective, and excited about the big swing, as everyone's saying, the big swing for Predator Badlands and Dan's initial idea. But I also should have been like, no, dude, you're going to love this movie because of the emotion, the way you've loved the other 2 Dan Trachtenberg Predator films.
Right.
And I want to say too, like when we were there that first night, I had no idea about this because I haven't been online looking it up. But you explained to me, you're like, well, there's some fans that are like mad that it's PG-13, and my initial first thought was like, oh, shut up, shut your butt. Like that's such a dumb thing to be mad about without at least having seen the film. And I feel
Right.
like even after the most cynical or the most like trepidatious or the most like I'm really not into this idea. I like my Predator flavor the way I like my Predator flavor, which is fine. I think even after those people will go see this movie, I hope that I mean, I believe and I hope if they're not complete assholes that they can walk away and go, look, it's not my favorite Predator movie. I still prefer the 87 original or I prefer Prey or whatever. But I don't think you can say at all that this movie was not really thoughtful and
Yep.
every aspect of its production was thought through and they knew what they were doing. And it is quality, dude. It's not just because we've become pals, but it's the editing with Stefan Grube and David Trachtenberg, right?
Yeah,
It's Dan's
Dan's
brother
brother.
who worked on the editing.
Yeah.
David. It's the editing. We've already mentioned the music, the score. It's the effects, it's the practical effects, it's the suits, it's the CG effects, it is the acting, every level of this. And I think, and again, you watch this kind of movie, and I feel like, oh, this feels like this was all of this in the script. And I know
Mhm.
we chatted with Dan a little bit, and he was like, well, even in post production, that's when the movie's really coming together. And that, like, if they ever
Right.
changed any of Deck's lines, they would re record and reanimate it
Mhm.
like based on if it was different than what Dimitrius said on the day on set, which I was like, that's wild to me. Instead of just,
Mhm.
like Dan said, throwing it away and be like, well, it's a made up language. We don't have to reanimate the mandibles or
Right.
just have them say it and the subtitles will say something different. And I love that so much. And I think that watching the movie really makes you feel like this whole thing is from day one, all of this was in the script, meaning it's
Yeah.
one of these big blockbuster movies that feels the least messed with. It feels the least compromised. And again, to compare to some of the previous movies this year or to compare to something like Tron, it's like you watch Tron and I'm like, it feels like they were noodling it. It feels like they were constantly trying to sort of get the best possible version, but through
Mhm.
different angles. Whereas like this movie, Killer of Killers and Prey, feels like it's the filmmakers coming out of the gate and going, this is the movie. And we'll tweak things along the way and little
Yeah.
minor things, but like this is it, dude. And if these acts 1, 2, 3 don't work at the script level and we can't capture it when we're filming it, then
Don't do it.
it's not going to work. And don't do it. Then don't even
Yeah.
bother. And it's so great to watch a movie like this. And again, to reiterate, the crowd experience is a huge part of it. I
It
want to
is.
see it. We saw it in 4DX the other night, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
still mixed on that. I'm like, I don't think that's for me, but some of it was really fun, like
Yeah.
crash landing on planets was really fun but it
Mhm.
made me go, maybe I kind of just wish I was just in a Predator theme park attraction. Like
Yeah,
they should
right?
just do that. Like I'm like, I would
Yautja
be sick. Like
Prime.
I remember seeing, or I went to Disney World for the first time this year. I've never been. And we went to the Animal Kingdom and we did the Avatar ride where you like sit in a
Mhm.
little motorcycle and it's like you're flying the creatures or whatever. And I remember being like, that's pretty cool. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, man, if I was forced to watch an Avatar movie like that, I'd be pissed. Like, I don't want to
You
do
mean you
that.
don't wanna see
I,
Fire and Ash in 4DX?
the whole time, like you're on one of those banshees
They
or whatever.
literally light
No,
you
I
on
did water.
fire?
Yeah, spraying it if it like smells like it's burning. Is there a fire in this theater? Should I evacuate? I don't know.
Having a
But
stroke? What's happening?
but even through that, the crowd was still laughing, applauding. Like I think
Mhm.
they were into the movie.
Yeah.
Those for those people who stuck around and they're like, I'll stick this out. Let's see
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
if it'll go. But I want to see this again, and I know you're going to put out this video, dude. I'm imploring our viewers right now, anybody watching this, if you haven't already gotten tickets and made plans, like go see it with a packed crowd. And if
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I can't Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night, go Monday night, go Tuesday
Mhm.
night, like clear your schedule, go see it with as many people as
It's
possible
it's
in that
90
theater,
minutes. Like,
dude.
it's thankfully
Fun,
not a super long commitment. Like, you can be out of there in, like, an hour 45, 2 hours. I went at
yeah,
4, and at 7:30,
yeah,
I was, like, on my way home. It was 2
yeah,
movies. 2 movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think also, and I have a couple people that I'm friends with that, were like, I don't know, the PG-13 rating kind of put me off. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. Da 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 da. Then one of
Mm-hmm.
them was at the 4DX screening with us, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him as he left, but I messaged him. I said, hey, what did you think? He was like, dude, I loved it. It was so fun. It was action packed, and like, not to give anything away, but the first 20 minutes, it is non-stop. Like, action starts,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get to a moment to breathe, you're like, oof, the audience has really earned this moment to breathe, and so has the character. So it's fun. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
really do feel like you're part of this journey. And, my girlfriend, for example, she's not, when I
Sure.
talked about us going to go see Prey and Badlands back to back, there was a little bit of apprehension. Like, she wasn't sure she was going to like it. Prey, watch that. She was laughing, cheering when at all the right moments. And then Badlands, the
Mm-hmm.
same thing for the whole entire 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, did you enjoy it? She's like, I loved it. I loved both of those movies. They were so fun. And I'm not a sci-fi person usually, but I had a really great time. So I think that even if
Mm-hmm.
you're not a Predator fan, but you just like to experience good action, great storytelling, fun characters, great moments,
Mm-hmm.
those movies are like you were saying, they are crowd pleasers. And I really struggled walking out of the theater as I was going to my car the second night in 4DX. It was really hard for me to find something that I genuinely did not enjoy. Really
Right.
hard. Like, I
Right.
felt very sad.
Right.
And you even said this the night of the premiere. You were like, I feel so satisfied because it had kind of a little bit of everything that I wanted, and some things that I wasn't even expecting that I wanted. So it's
Exactly.
really hard for me to be like, here's what I did not like, because and it's also maybe because I don't have such ties to the Predator franchise.
Sure.
I like the
Sure.
Predator franchise a lot. Like, I love that first movie. The sequels, it's hit or miss for me, but I really like
Mm-hmm.
Prey, I really like Badlands, and I really like Killer of Killers. So maybe I'm an easier sell because I don't have that sort of like emotional baggage that I bring to it, but I was just so entertained by it, and I thought the storytelling was so strong, and I like that it was a new spin of a similar idea, and it just really all worked for me, truthfully.
Yeah, and I think too that like maybe this is another unfair comparison because they're such different things, but
Yeah.
I also think that this Dan Trachtenberg era of Predator has nailed the concept so much that there's nothing even for, like you're saying, Predator comic book fans, Predator novel fans, Predator extra stuff fans, people that are super
Mm,
invested in the lore. I don't think there's anything that they can watch in these three movies that they're like, "Oh, it breaks the canon." It
mm,
really, and usually when people say that, I want to pull on that thread a little bit and go, well, what do you mean? Like, what does it
right.
matter? Right? What does it matter? And I'll give you an example. It's an easy example, and now it really doesn't matter. But 2009, the first Wolverine solo movie came out, and Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool, and that's a movie you can watch, and you definitely go, this is studio executives, writers, directors, whoever were the decision makers. They were like, well, we're going to do Deadpool, this character, this way, and at the
Yeah.
end, he's going to come back, and it's going to be this way. And I think that it's easy for comic book fans to go, well, you missed it. But there's reasons for that because it's like, what made that character from comics so beloved up to that point and
Right.
such a fan favorite? Well, you got to go read those comic books. It's the mouthy, a merc with a mouth. It's talking back. It's breaking the fourth wall. It's the costume. It's the look. It's all of this stuff that like was not really in that film at all. That it
Mhm.
had to be this it's Ryan Reynolds and team and visual effects and purposefully leaking and testing stuff out to like, okay, you put me in this movie. Thanks. I'm attached to this character. Maybe it's in my contract that I will play the character in a spinoff if it ever happens. Now it's not going to happen. Now we need to force this to happen. And I think that have been consistently proven right that they know what is appealing about the character from comic book storylines and they're putting it in the movies. I don't think anybody's reading Predator comics and going, oh, there's this amazing story or this amazing concept that we've never seen in a film. And then you watch these three movies and they're still disappointed. I don't think
Mm,
so because these movies understand the concept so well. And also, frankly, because I don't think that Predator extra stuff, the tie-in media, the merchandise, the comics and the books, which I love a lot of that stuff. I don't think any of that has ever like, me reading comic books since I was 5 years old. There's never been a Predator comic that I've been told like, no, Hector, you have this blows
right.
everything
This is
out
a
of the water.
must.
Right. It's because it's always been to sort of service what the concept is. And I'm
Right.
not saying they're bad. I'm just saying nothing has broken through and been like, dude, this is the Watchmen of Predator comics, or this is
Right.
this is what the next movie should be. And if there ever was something like that, which I think they did comics that were Alien versus Predator, and they did a video game that was Alien versus Predator. They tried in a movie, and they, for various reasons, it didn't capture that magic. But what I'm saying is now this Predator era is, like I said, if there are people that walk out of this and they go, "This is not my favorite one, still prefer the original, still prefer my Predator to be bad guy," great. But you have to acknowledge that, like, the care and the love and the really smart choices that went into this film is
Mhm.
the reasons that it's my favorite Predator movie. Do I think it's the best one? I don't know. I think that's a fun and like interesting debate to have, and then we can
Yeah.
go back and forth, and that's Coke or Pepsi. Like, I can do that, but it's different. Anytime people go, "We can debate politics," I go, "That's actually very different. That has to do with like core beliefs." And no,
Yeah.
but Coke and Pepsi, let's do that all day. Marvel, DC, let's do it all day.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite Predator film, and it's and the thing I told you and the thing I told Dan is, I'm like, it's the heart. So
Mm.
I just keep thinking about the conversation we had with him, dude. That was such a great, great conversation. I cannot wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my final thoughts, man. I love this film. Everything I agree with what you're saying, Adam. And I liked how you brought up, like, is there anything I don't like? Because I haven't really considered that. And now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, also, no, not really. I don't
Yeah.
know what I would have changed about this movie. The only thing is I want more, and I want more Killer of Killers, and I want, I want to see Naru from Prey come back. I
Right.
just want this thing to be so successful that Dan gets to do his third idea. That's all I
Mhm.
want from the movie.
Yeah,
That's
and I
it.
and I and I truly want that also for the Alien franchise, because it's not a secret that Dan incorporates Weyland-Yutani into this movie, and it was refreshing to hear him say, the concept was always Yautja plus robot, alien plus robot, and it wasn't like, oh, someone said we have to use Weyland-Yutani. No, it was like,
Mhm.
oh, well, let's put a robot in there. Oh, wait, I know who makes robots. So I love the very natural integration of IPs, franchises, whatever, into one movie. But at no point,
Mhm.
there was in the first screening, I was like, maybe they'll do something. But I like that it's Predator. It's Predator Badlands. It's focused on the Predator. It's not trying to put the cart before the horse, sort of a thing. But I really hope
Mhm.
with, the Romulus stuff and whatever sequel they make, plus Alien Earth, now the Predator stuff coming out, I think we all feel hopeful and
Well,
confident
Adam,
that that will be the thing that happens next, or
did you
at
see
some
what
point. I don't want
Ben
to say next,
Rosenblatt?
but
Sure. Did you see what Ben Rosenblatt, producer, said on the red carpet premiere that night? Did you see what he said? He said
no.
that Dan or the folks involved have had a conversation with Arnold Schwarzenegger about
Mm,
him maybe being involved and maybe coming back.
something.
I mean, do we think that that's the third idea, sort of live action, like Dutch is back and he's old because it's Arnold? Or are we going to see that continued in animation where Dutch can be in his prime? We just
Yeah.
saw Arnold voice a heavily muscled character in the
Secret
TV show
level.
Secret Level,
He was
and it was
great.
like
He was
awesome.
amazing.
He was amazing. He was so funny. Like, so, question for you, just as we wrap up, like, do you want Dutch live action? Do you want Dutch animated? What do you want the future of Dutch and Predator to be?
That's a really good question. I think initially when I was thinking about that and we got that post-credit scene where we saw Schwarzenegger's character and Danny Glover's character at the end of Killer of Killers, my immediate reaction was, don't do this in live action with like deep fake, make them look younger. Um
Right, right,
I
right.
if you're going to go that route, I would just prefer that you just did an animation. However, if there is a time jump between
Hmm.
Killer of Killers and whenever we see them next, and Naru, and maybe it's not Naru, maybe she's still in cryogenic sleep, but maybe it is,
Hmm.
Danny Glover and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're much older and they're aged up. So enough time
Hmm.
passes that you can say, like, well, now Dutch is this age because he's been on Yautja Prime or whatever planet for, let's say, 30 years. So you can get away with it.
Hmm.
I would be open to that. That I think would be really, really cool. But if you're going to do them as they are from 1987, 1990, and 15, 17, or whatever it is,
Yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah.
them in
Animated.
animation. But
Yep.
God, would it be cool to see those three characters and maybe Thea, maybe some, throw David
Hmm.
Johnson in there, throw who else?
Hmm.
Who else? Throw someone in from Alien Earth. I don't know. It would be cool to see that, if as long as it is to service the story and to not just like do it for the sake of doing it, then I'd be all in on that.
I agree. I think that now, man, 3 for 3. Like, if there were a not a, I don't want to say a studio mandate, but like a fan like wish of like, we really want to see an Avengers style culmination or a Fast Five version of the Predator franchise where it's like one character from each movie, you know.
Yeah.
If I'm going to trust anybody to do it, it's Dan. But that initial idea doesn't jump out to me as like the most organic and, you know, the best story per se. But it's like, but dude, Fast Five is my favorite Fast and Furious movie,
It's
you
great.
know, and I do
It's
love
really
the Avengers
great.
movies, and because those stories required those characters to come together. So like, yeah, maybe there's a version where we get to see a fun, you know, whether it's animated or live action or whatever. Yeah, and like you were saying, looping in like characters from Alien movies and TV show, that would be so fun. That could be
great.
so cool. So
Yeah.
But either way, let's get this on Blu-ray. Let's get Predator Killer of Killers on Blu-ray. Let's get this on 3D Blu-ray. Let's make it happen, folks. Predator
We
Badlands
definitely poked
rules.
that bear, and we've told Dan how we feel about that. I even gave him a suggestion for Killer of Killers if they don't want to make it its own release. I'm like, I got you. Here's an idea. Send it to someone at 20th Century and Disney. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, really great time watching the movie. Definitely recommend going to see it. It is a really, really enjoyable experience. I think most people will really, really like it. And people who are just cynical and just don't like anything that anyone puts out anymore, then don't go see it. Go see something else. I don't know. Go watch the first movie on repeat. I don't know what to tell you. But make sure you guys stay tuned. Our interview with Dan will be coming out on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun. He is an amazing guest. We love having him on. And check out everything else we're watching. Welcome to Derry has been crushing. It's so good. We're also going to be diving into Stranger Things soon, so stay tuned for that. More movies and more other things. So check that out. Check out the movie Predator Badlands, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching